Okay, let's jump into finding sources. I really think of this as a three-way um, path into the goal. The goal is to find those primary peer-reviewed sources. There are a lot of different ways that you can find stuff. There are three pathways that I want to talk about tonight. The first is the library. I might be biased because I work for them, but I think our search engine does a pretty good job. I want to talk about finding sources on the open web. The library also provides tools for that I want to introduce you to because they're very powerful and helpful. And the third is generative AI, which is a relatively new discussion. This is maybe the second time that I've gotten to talk about this. So I'm excited to talk about it with you. It can be used for good. It can also be used for evil. We'll talk about both. But let's start out with the library. The library is not just a building with books. The library, honestly, is more of a digital space these days. In fact, our library is digital first, which means we don't buy print materials. We buy digital materials because we want to make sure that all of our online students have the same access that our in-person students do. Now, because it's online, that means it gets a little bit complicated when it comes to finding things. So I want to explain the library like a concentric circle because it is built in layers. So you guys are after an article. That's the basic building block and unit of scholarship. But articles don't exist in a vacuum. They are published in those journals that we were talking about. Some journals are peer reviewed, some journals are not. Some journals are actually magazines. There are a lot of different kinds of journals out there that publish articles periodically. So a journal might come out once a month, it might come out once a quarter, once a year, sometimes even sparser than that. So we do subscribe to a lot of journals. But those journals also frequently don't exist in a vacuum. They're contained in library databases. So if you can remember back to the last time you were in school, perhaps you got attached to certain nursing databases. A lot of people like CINAHL. One very popular online database is PubMed. We have the full text version of that called Medline. Those databases contain thousands of journals, which themselves contain thousands of articles. So databases are typically um, discipline specific. So if you go to the nursing databases, you'll mostly get nursing journals. But our library has a layer on top of that called Discovery. We have a search engine that pulls in almost every database that we have into a one-stop shop. I think of it like Amazon for library search. And that is what we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about how to search in Discovery. I am going to go to the library's website, which is maryville.edu/library. I'm going to put that in the chat. And I encourage you to bookmark that link. You can also access it from Canvas. If you are anywhere in Canvas on the right side, on that red sidebar, there's a tile that says resources. If you click on that, it will say University Library, and you can click the link to come here. So either way. And to search the library's Discovery search engine, you just go to this search bar. Easy peasy, it's right there. This searches, like I said, all of those databases. It also searches books, ebooks, video content, all kinds of content. Now, the trick about searching in Discovery versus searching in Google is that it doesn't do a very good job of parsing long sentences. So instead of typing in a long sentence or even your full Pico question, what you want to do here is to boil that research question down into keywords and just type in the keywords. So let's say my Pico question has to do with adults with hypertension and whether an exercise program or high blood pressure medicine is better for their blood pressure. I might type in adults and hypertension, move my mouse, and exercise, and medication. Now, I boiled that question down into its key components and then put them together with capital A-N-D, and. What that tells the search engine is I need adults and hypertension and exercise and medication all to show up for it to be relevant to me. Now, here's one trick. Frequently, we don't find articles with every piece of the puzzle in them. I call them Holy Grail articles. They're very rare. So chances are your PICO question will be specific enough that you won't find many articles about both the comparison and the intervention. My suggestion to you is to search for one at a time. So I'm going to take the medication off and just search for the exercise intervention. And I'll hit enter, and then we will go to the search engine results. Now, if you're off campus like I am, you'll see a gray bar at the top asking you to sign in. If you click on that, it will bring up the same login menu that you see for Canvas. So your same login for Canvas or the other Maryville systems works for us too. Now, before we start chopping, I just want to point out we have 681,000 results, which is astronomical. We can't go through all of those. So instead, I want us to filter our search first. So just like on Amazon, where you can click on filters so that you only see things that are really well reviewed or ship on Prime, we are going to use our filters to get down to the kinds of sources we really want. First up is this peer-reviewed filter. This is an excellent tool. You should click it every single time to get rid of all of the journals, all of the magazines, the books, the other things that are not peer-reviewed. Because we know for our EBP research, we need peer-reviewed sources. So by clicking that button, it eliminates all of the other stuff. Additionally, you know whether or not you need articles from a 5 to 10 year time frame. So if we go to the time filter, we can put in that we only want to see articles from the past 5 years. So if I click that, it will get rid of everything that's older, and that cut our results in half, that one filter, which is great. We can also click on the full text filter if we want to. Now, I would suggest leaving this one off. What it does is it gets rid of every article that we don't have direct subscription access to. Now, a lot of people ask me, Amber, why do we list articles that you can't read? And the reason for that is because we participate in a program called Interlibrary Loan. So take this first article, for example. This might be interesting to us, but we don't have a subscription to it. You'll see a button that says Request through Interlibrary Loan rather than an Access button, like this one, where it says Linked Full Text. If you click that button, it will bring up a form. Fill out the form for you with all of the information about the article that we would need to request it from another library. All you need to do is go down to the bottom of the form, make sure your name and email are correct, and hit submit. What happens at that point is that we get that request in our interlibrary loan system. We'll find another library that does have a subscription to that journal, and then they will email you a copy, typically within 24 to 48 business hours. However, we do ask that you give it at least 4 or 5 business days for people to respond. Sometimes the libraries get really backed up. It's variable. So it's not a 2 a.m. solution if you have something due the next day. But at the graduate level, it is expected that you'll need to use some interlibrary loan articles. So that is the process to request articles. If you find one that's really great, but we don't have it, don't be shy about hitting that button. Most people get their article back within 24 hours. So if you want to get rid of those, if it is 2 a.m. and you don't want to see the interlibrary loan option, we can click the full text filter and get rid of those options as well. One last filter that I like to show off is the subject filter. That's located under all filters. That pops out another little menu. And if you scroll down, you'll see subject. The subject filter works like hashtags on social media. So if you ever see a post on Facebook or Instagram that has a hashtag on it, those are hyperlinks. And if you click on the tag, you'll see every other post that's ever been tagged that way. Similarly, all of these articles have been tagged with subject tags, either by the person who wrote the article or by a librarian who read it, to say this article is about this thing. And when we use the subject filter, we get rid of all of the articles that weren't tagged the same way. My best tip for using this filter efficiently is to pick one piece of your question at a time and find all the checkboxes that relate to just that part of the question. Think most important piece of the question, and then apply those. And if you want to come back, you can apply more subject tags after that to narrow even further. So for my question, I think hypertension is the most important piece of this question. If the article isn't about hypertension, I don't need it. So I'm going to use the subject filter and choose hypertension and cardiovascular diseases. And then we'll see if we blood pressure. Then we'll just go down the list and see if we can find other ways to say hypertension. I think that that might be it. So I'm going to click update. We have those 3 subject filters applied. We're going to go from 186,000 to 18,000, just with 3 little clicks. The subject filter is the fastest way to take a lot of results to a few results. And like I said, the beautiful thing is we can come back and add another layer. So we have hypertension, cardiovascular diseases, and blood pressure. All of these 18,600 articles are tagged that way. Now let's add more specifications. So I'm talking about exercise. So I'm going to say exercise, physical activity, and then find other tags that kind of mean the same thing. Just scroll through real quick. I'm happy with just those 2. We'll hit update. And now the results have to have, the hypertension tags and the exercise tags. And we're down to 1,600 results. So we started with almost 700,000 results, and now we're down to 1,600 results. And this feels way more focused. We also know that all of these articles are less than 5 years old, they're peer-reviewed, and they're not going through interlibrary loan. At this point, we can start shopping. The first criteria that it needs to meet is, do you like the title? If the title does not stick out to you as something that is useful, then you can move on. If you like the title, then I encourage you to read the abstract. I hit the Show More button at the end of this little background paragraph, and it opened up the full abstract. The abstract of an article is a summary. So everything you need to know about the article pretty much can be found in this paragraph. Skim through this and ask yourself, is it a primary source? Did they conduct an experiment or gather their own data? And if yes, then you can move on. If it seems relevant to your study, then you can move on to the full text. So you can hit access options, and it may give you a lot of different options here. In this case, it says PDF. If you click on that, it will open the article that you can then read. If you'd like to save this article for later, This is very important. You can click the URL at the top in the browser bar and copy and paste that into a document. If you do that, it will bring you back to this page every time. If you'd prefer to save the article, there is a download button right here that you can use to download the PDF onto your computer. Just kind of make a note of which file it goes in so it doesn't get lost. Or, third option, you can make an account in this platform called an EBSCO account. It is separate from your Maryville login, so you'll have to memorize a new password. But if you decide to make that account and sign in, then you can click this little flag over here that says save, and it will pop up in your dashboard on the left side, and you can see your saved articles there. Now, the reason that I say this is like a third option is because people tend to have issues with it bugging out. Sometimes they lose their saves. Sometimes if you don't remember to sign in before you start searching, you'll hit the save button and it won't actually be saved into your folder. So I like the more manual copy and paste the URL into your own document method. I think it's a little bit more reliable. If you hit a wall and you need some help doing your research any time of the day or night, there is a 24/7 chat right here in the bottom right corner. You'll see a little chat bubble with a green check mark. That is our 24/7 library help chat. There's a real human being on the other end of this chat. They are a librarian. They have access to all of the resources that you do. They are extraordinarily helpful. So if it again is 2 a.m. and you're working on this, or if it's the weekend or something like that, the 24/7 chat is available to you right here in this chat bubble. And like I said, they are great. I've been very impressed with the quality of service that they provide. So if you need a little nudge in the right direction, that's an excellent option for you as well.